Hello, everybody. It's the first time I'm doing screen share and restreams, so all right, let me just double check. All right, this looks good. Okay. All right. All right, this looks good. All right. Can't have that there. Keeps hitting the mouse pad. This looks completely different on the computer. Found it. That's why I couldn't see it. Okay, now I've got the chat back up. And I don't know why I have the band. Let's turn that off. Why do I have banner? Because I don't have a Twitter. And that's the Restream Twitter. Ooh, this looks completely different on the computer than it does on the phone. This is odd. Okay, got that. Hey, Susan. Yeah, this looks completely different on the computer than it does on the phone. Hey, Godchild. Chuck, this is through restream, but it is not a restream of another video. This is a brand new live I'm doing. I got it. First time doing a screen share in restream. So we're going to have to see how this works. And as the task, this is going to be about trimming up. Oh, you're welcome, Chuck. Tonight's video is going to be about trimming up that extra hair on your pup's feet. We refer to it as grinchy feet. So I do have a video that where I use several different types of scissors and clippers to show you how to trim up that extra feet hair to keep your dog's feet from picking up all the debris and foxtails and all kinds of stuff that can be bad for their feet. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the video. Now this dog's already had her bath. This is Daisy. She's an Australian Shepherd mix. So she does have that longer, fuller double coat. But we keep her trimmed up quite a bit. You're fine. You can just tune in and listen. She does have longer hair with the double coat, but we do keep it shortened a bit to help keep her from picking up so much debris, twigs and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start the video. She's already had her bath, her blah and her brush. So you can see I'll turn the foot backwards and I'll take my clippers on their low. This is an adjustable bladed clipper. And I'm just cleaning out the excess hair of the pad. I'm doing a short, small scoop in between the toes and the main pad, scooping the hair from under the nails. That takes care of some of that extra hair there. And then I'm swiping off the sides and around the toes to catch the hairs around the toes. Then I come up the back because my thumb, if you can see, at the back of that large pad. So I'm pushing the extra hair from the leg down. So when I use my clippers, I'm actually just going ahead and clipping that all in one motion. Now, Daisy lives in a yard with some trees, and sometimes she'll have either mud pots or these are straight bladed scissors. Sometimes she'll have some or mud clod stuck in her pads, so we'll clean those up. And now you can see I'm just taking the end of my scissors and lightly, after back brushing on the feet to pull the hair from between the toes, I'm going in with my scissors and I'm just taking what's standing up. I'm not taking a lot of length. I'm only just taking, that's why we back brush. Back brushing allows us to really lift the excess hair between the toes and make it stand up for a minute so that we can go in. Now this is with a straight pair. I've just gone in and just scissored up the excess hair that was standing up. Now I'm coming in up a little bit more from where the clippers didn't catch everything. Get the camera to focus a bit. So you can see this excess hair around that upper little ankle pad. I'll go in and I'll trim up the hair around the feet there and just give her clean lines around her feet. I'll come in from the front sometimes and I'll have to clean up a little bit around the nails, which is what I'm doing here. And I just lean the leg forward to get that dew claw right there and clipping her nails. So that's one method with one type of scissors. And now you can see the difference between the two. The one on the right and the one on the left has. Now I'm coming in with a curved pair of solid bladed scissors. We're going to do the same thing with the bottom of the foot. Clean all that excess hair underneath. Make sure that there's nothing or collect any mud balls, clots, any or sap from trees. Go in and really lift it. Right here you can see, like on the side here of the foot, you can really see where it's lifted that hair nicely. This is actually me the yesterday on one of the dogs that I did yesterday. I recorded it on my phone so I could do the video. I could do this. But usually when I do grooming videos, I get a lot of questions. So I would do the video and actually talk about and give anybody the chance to ask any question thing instead of having to leave it in the comments. So this is one of the dogs that I worked on yesterday. Again, cleaning up the bottom of the foot in between the pads. Hey, Dusty. Back brush to lift that hair really good between the toes. And this is called a pair of thinning shears. So it has teeth on one side and a solid blade on the other. This is really good for those who may have may not be great with scissors or a little scared of straight bladed scissors and might take too much or clip the dog. Thinning shears are a really good option because you can take a little bit at a time and the feet won't look choppy. Now on the back feet, I'll back brush the back of the hock to lift up that hair as well and trim that excess hair off. And again, you see me coming in with the thinning shear to do that. So it's a nice smooth transition all the way down. It's not choppy thing, because thinning shears will only take a little bit at a time. Sorry about that. Now I'm just doing the hawk on the other foot. And you can see I'm just in that hair smooth. That's all I'm doing. Now this is an option where you can use clips. Now this is a very small set of adjustable bladed clippers. And when you're doing feet, around the toes, and then in between the big pads up around the nails to make sure that we're getting all that extra long hair off. But we're using clippers, and for most home care, a simple set of clippers with an adjustable blade like this works perfectly. Now for the pads, I set the blade at the shortest. Top, I don't want to end up leaving it choppy if I end up going too low. So on the clippers, I'll just come through and I'll raise the blade a little bit. And we're just going across and skimming across from side to side so it actually catches the hair. Because if you come down the toe from the top of the foot to the table, it's not going to catch the hair very well. Back lifting that hair is going to do good for lifting it up so the clipper blade can actually grab it. And I'm just lightly skimming over, really long in between the toes. Just a light skim. Hey, Valero. Pup Wrangler, yes. Okay, so there's the video. That is 3 types of scissors. We've got straights, curved, and thinning shears, and clippers. So 4 different ways that you can use a simple set of tools to clean up those extra hairs on the feet. That way it spreads out a lot. And there's a lot of pine trees, or you take them out hiking. Cleaning up that excess hair around the feet and in between the toes is really going to be beneficial to making sure that there's not a lot of debris stuck in there. Stickers, little legs, cheatgrass tails. All of that can be really dangerous, especially foxtails and cheatgrass. Both of those are seeds. They're a type of grass, a weed grass seed. And with those, if they get into the feet, because of the way those are made, they have little strings on them and they actually catch in hair, but they can only move one direction. So once they get stuck in between here, they can only keep moving forward. They hit the skin, they can embed themselves in the skin and then start working through the bloodstream of your dog. But if you're able to keep the hair trim, chances of that and missing foxtails or cheatgrass is going to be much lower. So ultimately, keeping the feet trim is really going to be beneficial in making sure that the feet stay healthy. And this is just a really simple way to do. And you can, if you don't have scissors, but you can get, you want to get the clippers. I showed you how to use the clippers to be able to do that too. And you're just gently riding across and skimming the hair. You don't want to come this way, down toe, because it's going to lay the hair back down. It's not going to, the clipper's not going to actually pick. You either want to gently go backwards, side to side, so that the teeth of the clipper actually pick up the hair and cut it. Sorry. Okay. Just making sure it wasn't the kiddos. So these are several different ways that you can easily trim up the extra grinchy feet, their feet healthy. I guess that's it. This one was just, any questions? Because I usually do get a few questions when I upload these as just basic videos. Hey, Miss Ann. You're fine. Just doing a quick video on how to, different ways and different tools that you can use to trim up your dog's grinchy feet and get all that extra hair off. So I'm just waiting to see if anybody has any questions. I don't think so. All right. Yes. Yes. Yes, Valley Girl. That's why we call them grinchy feet, because the Grinch. It's the X in the toes. Now, if you have a dog that is double coated with longer hair, hey, sometimes you'll need to trim the hair up. Sometimes you won't. It really just depends on the breed. The dog that you see in the video here is an Australian Shepherd mix. So they get really bad grinchy feet sometimes. And Miss Daisy is one of them. She gets all kinds of, like I said, foxtails and cheatgrass. She'll get those in her feet. She's come in a couple times with pine sap in her feet. At one point, her entire yard was, I hope so, because that's no fair. Like, no fair. Sometimes she'll come in and she's got dried mud. Now, the dirt that we have here in my area, it dries, it's like concrete. I'm not kidding. It is absolutely like concrete. So that has a lot of excess hair on the pads. It's going to pick up that pine pitch and the pine tar. It's going to pick up tree sap. It's going to pick up gum. It's going to pick, mud here. And once that mud dries, it's like cut off. So keeping that excess hair cleaned up underneath, keeping the excess hair between the toes, keeping that all trimmed down really helps to keep their feet healthy. They're not walking on, what would to us. There's not as much hair, excess hair around the feet underneath for that pine tar and pine pitch. You're clearing out between the toe, not getting as much cheatgrass. They're a seed of a weed grass, basically. Of them, I will show you. Okay. All right, this is a foxtail. So this is the part that spreads out and catches onto the hair. Then right here, this is another little piece here, but the end of this is super sharp. That too, Anne, that too, for sure. Super cute when they do. So this whole thing, opens up. And then at the end of this, it's extremely sharp. So once it gets caught in your dog's fur, it's not working its way out. It's not falling out. It will only continue to move forward. So when you have a lot of hair between the toes, hey, Mandy, that hair is not going to allow, because it's attached to that now. It's stuck to that hair because it's got little spines on there on top of these little pieces that come off like this. It will only continue to work forward. Once it hits the skin, it will actually embed itself in the skin and then work all the way through the skin and can work into their bloodstream. I have seen x-rays. Let's see if I can find a couple pictures. Where you can actually see the tract that the foxtails have taken. Let me go back. So here you can see what it can look like. Let me blow this up a little bit. There we go. Now you see what potentially the wound would look like. Would look like a small sore. This is in real life, all spread out, and the drier they get, the more spread out and open they get so that they can travel. This is the scald tract of a dog that had foxtails. You can see how far that foxtail traveled inside the body. It traveled all the way up its leg. They can be dangerous. They can cause massive infections. They can cause severe damage within the body. So foxtails, cheatgrass, same thing, no joke. When your dog has that excess, when your dog has that excess hair between the toes, they are more likely to pick up debris and stuff like that can cause. So keeping that hair between the toes, it is very normal, very, very normal. Just cheatgrass and foxtails, but also stickers, thorns, small pieces of twig or dry grass that's really hard. All of that can cause things like this. Foxtails and cheatgrass just tend to be, yeah, it is where in areas where they're at, but you know, it just tends to be a little bit more prominent. I can close that out. Okay. In one area, you might have cheatgrass or foxtails. In another area, you might have a different weed or similar. So it's always a good idea to keep that excess hair trimmed back so you can avoid a lot of these little seeds and these little pods from getting stuck up hair. Like I'm from Florida, and they have these little exactly. They can cause lots of problems. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry about that. It's the kiddos wanting me to unlock their phones. Yes. Yep. And that's why, you know, keeping the grinchy feet to a minimum really helps stop it, but it does help prevent how much. So you always want to check. But I grew up in Florida, and they had these little, I don't even know what they're called. I'm going to try to see if I can find it. They're flat stickers, but they come in long strings. So let me see if I can find a picture of them. I probably look crazy, right? Let's see. And they're like, try to get these things off. I'm seeing them. But they were always such a pain as a kid growing up because they'd get everywhere, stuck to your socks, stuck to his. It was just change search parameters. See if I can find them. But when I was grooming, and it was not uncommon for dogs to come in and have those stuck in the pads of their feet, and they've been there for so long that it's created a massive mat of the hair around these little stickers. I don't see come in long, flat rows, and they're kind of a dark hunter sage green almost, and there's a seed. inside. It's just kind of what they look like. Hitchhikers, yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if they're the same hitchhikers that you have in Texas. But they're long and I mean, they can come in different lengths and each break off, and each one is a seed pod. They're flat and big. Each seed pod can be about that big. So mare's no, let me see mare's tails. No, not it. That's not it. But yeah, it's when you're have excess hair around their feet, there's all kinds of things that they can pick up that are dangerous. Types of mud, like I'm saying, the mud around here, when it dries, it's like concrete, like legit concrete. And then tree sap, all of that can cause problems for your dog's feet. But if you trim that hair back, clean pads, and in between the pads, clean those toes out, it's going to be less likely your dog's going to pick up anything. Let me see. All right. I'm looking at hitchhikers. Give me some pictures. Ah ha ha. Is this it? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Found them. Ha! Found them. These are the green version before they've had a chance to dry out. Because once they dry out, they turn brown. Okay. Let me share this. Switch this around so you can see it bigger. These, you can see the little seed in there. And so, and you can actually see the fuzz, fur, little whatever it is that makes it stick to everything. And I do mean everything. But I have seen these when I was grooming in Florida. I've seen these stuck in dog fur that have created this simple little tiny thing. And like I said, they're literally that big. They're tiny. But I've seen these create massive matting in dogs. Massive. I've shaved out solid, hard as a brick mats of hair from between the toes and the large pad on the feet. Cut it open, and there's one of these right in the middle of it. So, That's it. So making sure that you keep your dog's feet clear and trimmed up really helps to out of these issues. You also don't want to have a lot of pine pitch or tree sap stuck to your dog's foot for long periods of time, because pitch and tar is really acidic and it can actually burn the skin of your dog. So you want to make sure that you keep their hair trimmed back so that's not an issue. If they step in pine tar, or and there's no hair for it to hang, walking around a little while will actually wear off any remnants off of their pads. Switch beggarweed. We just always called them chikers, but I knew that wasn't the actual name for them. They are a pain. I hated those things growing up. Hated them. A dog with ticks. Yes, I actually have North of Mexico quite often, and every time he brings his dogs in, I have to make sure. I mean, it's much better now because when he goes, he puts a fresh flea and tick collar on them, because we don't have that big of a problem with that here, unless the dogs are, in close contact with wildlife, or spend a lot of time out in the hills where wildlife is more apt to be. Yeah, and I hate them. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. They are such a pain. It doesn't really make it harder to trim their hair per se. It just takes, because I have to make sure that I remove the ticks, and then I drop them directly into straight 90% alcohol, and so it's just more time consuming. It doesn't make it harder per se, just more time, because I have to go through off of them. But since this one client's been fresh flea and tick collars before he goes to Mexico, it's been much better. And that's for the dog's health, because flea carry diseases and pass diseases dog to dog. So it's always a good idea when you're going to travel to do that, or when you're going to go camping or something like that. Use some kind of flea and tick preventative for the health of your dog. If you're not into the topicals, where the little tubes, a simple collar, and that way you can take it off when you don't need it anymore. So, but anytime you do anything like that, or you're in a more tick prone area, best measure. Yeah. Hundreds of growths. Yep. Blood infusions, because the anemia is so bad. Yes. Yeah. Luckily, like I said, that's not a problem that we deal with a lot here where I live, because it gets so brutally cold in the wintertime. So we don't get a lot of those issues here. We don't have a lot of fleas. We don't have a lot of ticks. It's not to say it doesn't happen. We just don't get it very often. Yes, they will. I had a poodle back in Florida when I still lived in Florida. And I don't know why it was always this bad, but every time he would come in, he would look like a rust color, a red poodle. He wasn't. So what many people don't is that when a flea bites a dog, microscopic pieces of blood that come through and then dry. When you have a white dog that comes in that looks like a red poodle, but he's white, there's a full-on infestation. That dog is absolutely covered in fleas. It's the home in the yard. And we think that's actually what it was. It was the house, because the owner had said that they had tried bombing the house and whatnot for the fleas, but we don't think they were taking care of the yard. So that's something else that you've got to be careful. Oh, crap. Allergic to the cyclines. That's not good. You were able to get ahead of it. Please tell me. But this pill, we would kill the fleas, and it literally, the minute you just poured water on top, it would start rehydrating the blood flakes, and it was a literal bloodbath. And it was all from flea bites, microscopic flea bites that would leave those microscopic flakes of blood from the bite. And then that would dry, and over time, the dog was bitten so much that he turned red instead of white. So we would take care, flea dip. And then the very next thing we would do is we would take a whole entire bottle of witch hazel and pour it over him and let him sit for 15 minutes. The witch hazel would help to reduce any inflammation, irritation, and pain associated with the flea bites, and also help to minimize the flea bites and the itching. That was guaranteed with every single time we saw this dog. But this is also Florida, and it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have problems eventually with fleas or ticks, because it's just so hot and humid most of the year. So yeah, it is not. That's why it's always take preventative measures with your dogs, peeps. There's a lot of really serious diseases that can be transmitted from fleas and ticks. So if you're going to be traveling, you don't want to put a topical on your dog, use a flea killer. Minimize the exposure that your animal is going to have, because and each part of the country is more apt to have one disease over another, but it's just, there are so many that it's best just to go ahead and have the preventative and have that to roll to protect your dog. It's summertime. Another issue that a lot of people are going to run into is that pine tar and that pine pitch and tree sap that I was talking about. I got a little trick for you. Or coconut oil. Yes. That's why we got so much in common. Excuse me. But if you have a dog that loves to play under the pine trees, and you're constantly out of them, or pine pitch out of them, olive oil or coconut oil every time. You never want tree sap sit on your dog. It's just it starts on the outside, but it will keep working its way to the inside of the hair, up against the skin. Every type of tree tree sap is very acidic. And you don't want that sitting against the skin because in some cases it can create burn blisters. And that is not good for your dog. It's an open wound. It's a source of possible infection, and it's not comfortable. Because when they get to that point where it's up against the skin, now you've got all this hair from the outside that's all trapped into it, and there's this huge ball of pitch that's pulling on the hair and the skin. There could be a couple of different reasons for that, God's child. They might be deficient on minerals. It could be boredom. It could be grass. I know a lot of people will say it's only because of a deficiency, mineral deficiency, and that's not always the case. There are some dogs that just like grass. They just like it. And some dogs like certain types of grass. Dogs can be weird. But pine pitch is something that you really want to make sure that you remove as soon as you notice it. Get it out of their hair, off of their. Yes, and that's yes. Very acidic. It can cause some major burns. So the easiest way and the fastest way to remove pine pitch or tree sap is olive oil or coconut oil. The less processed, the better. And the reason I say that is because the more processed, the less beneficial it is, like vegetable oil or, soybean oil, to those types of oils. Olive oil or coconut oil are much healthier, and there is some benefits to that. That's very possible. That's very possible, God's child. There are people out there that say they only do that when a vitamin or a mineral deficiency, and that's not true. That is not true at all. Some dogs do it out of boredom. Some dogs will do it just because they simply like either the flavor or texture or, something about that kind of grass that they like. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want to let them eat too much, as grass can give them an upset stomach. That's another reason they may eat grass. They have an upset stomach, and eating grass actually makes them. So there's a lot of reasons why dogs will eat grass. But the oils. Now, some people. Thanks, Valley Girl. Some people will just use any kind of oil, and well, in reality, you can. But if you're going to put oil on your dog is going to lick it eventually, unless you bathe them directly afterwards, which most people don't. So if your dog's going to give themselves a little bit of an upset stomach because it's oil, make it something that's going to be beneficial. And the less more natural the oil, like olive oil, coconut oil, those things, the more benefits they're going to have. The more they can get out of it. Just take the oil, you rub it into the sap. Let it sit for a couple minutes. The oil is breaking down the pitch or the sap. Around here, it's mostly pine tar or pine pitch around here. So I missed something that Sin said. Yes, exactly, Sin. For the dogs. Oils have higher of the omegas, the essential omegas, which are the building blocks for skin and coat. So if you're going to give your dog oil, or at least, have it to where they make it beneficial, make the good stuff. But you just soak the sap with oil. It will naturally work it in, and you will feel that sap or that pitch to start disintegrating and breaking apart and softening in your hands. If it's in an area where there's a lot of long hair, comb it out. That's how easy it is. A flea comb works really well. If the pine, I'm used to saying pine pit, but sap. A flea comb, having a flea comb on hand is a really good idea for something. So there's not much I can do. So let me explain what those are for everyone else. So tear stains and licking stains, or white colored dogs. A lot of people freak out when they see them. In and of itself is never the problem. The staining is simply because the fluid, be it tears, saliva, urine, the fluid, the pH of the fluid is of the hair. So because the pH is, it causes staining of the fur. So not the staining per se is the problem. It could be something like if they're licking like right here on their leg a lot, they may have arthritis setting in on their ankle. If they're licking their toes a lot, they may be having some allergic reactions to the ground or something on the ground or some kind of plant you have in the yard. They may have something in between their toes that needs to be cleaned out. They may have the matting or something in between their pads that needs to be cleaned out. The staining can actually signify a problem. Itself is not the problem. And there's actually not a lot that I personally can do. That's more be dealt with at home and with the vet, especially if it's an odd place and it's not just tear stains or saliva stains around them. Because sometimes, especially if it's excessive, be a sign that there's something more going on that needs to be looked into. So that's something that kind of the owner typically needs to do something about, because there are things that you can do. Special kinds of wipes that have an enzyme that helps to break that down and helps to neutralize the pH differences and imbalances and incompatibilities. That are additives to the food. You just sprinkle a little powder right on top of food that helps to level out the pH differences, things like that. But as far as what I can do in the shop, there's not really a whole lot. I can use that sometimes will take the edge off of it, but once the staining is there, it's pretty well stained, and not a whole lot that I can do about it. That's usually done at home. Anybody else have any other questions? Doesn't have to necessarily be feet. It can be about anything. Okay. I think I know where this is going. Can I pop comments up on the... I can. Oh, buddy. Okay, so that works the same as StreamYard. Nice. All right, so we'll start there with that and wait for the... Yeah, this like this stream, this restream. Yep. That, yeah. So I did kind of mention that allergies or something in the... didn't necessarily mean anything, quite this detailed, but so we'll wait because it's continued again. I love comments. Listen, I love your comments. And we're too heavy to travel and the blood back up the legs so they can stuck it. Paw licking is a classic sign. Yes. It can also be a sign of pain and discomfort from injuries, arthritis. So here we are. We're talking about foot care and how important it is to keep the hair trimmed back so they don't pick up debris, sap, all that other stuff. Something else that a lot of people don't know is how important it is properly. Chronic long nail can be a health issue for dogs. A lot of people don't know that. A dog's foot is designed to walk on their toes in the front of their paw. Okay? With the back of the paw being slightly lifted. When you have a dog that has chronic times is instead of being like this, those nails get so long that it pushes, forcing the back of the paw down, bringing the paw out of position and form. That can be uncomfortable. That can cause weakening of the structure of the feet. Sometimes those nails will turn sideways and actually cause the nails, cause the toes to actually turn themselves like this. Again, that can cause weakening of the foot. We're talking the connective tissue, the bones, the actual joints, and the form and function of the foot. It changes. Not only that, sometimes they can curl. So here's the toe. The nail can curl enough that it starts curling under. And once it's curling under, the dog starts walking on it. That does two things. One, it actually makes that curl worse. It's forming the curl and making it worse. But it's also pulling on the nail bed. So just like if I were to take my nail and push down, you see how it pulls up on the nail bed here? Back nail, see if that works better. So there's my natural nail. And if I'm pulling down on my nail like I would be a dog walking on it, it pulls up at the base of the nail. So that also causes pain and discomfort. Chronic issues of that, it's all the time for a long time, can lead to simple stepping just the right way can cause an injury to the foot because the connective tissue has been weakened. Ligaments and tendons of the foot have been weakened because they've been out of position in the wrong position for so long. It can also cause arthritis in the feet, and it can lead to permanent disfigurement of. It's not a good thing. So making sure you're not just taking care of the hair around the feet, but you're also making sure that you take care of them on a regular basis and keeping them at a healthy length. It's all part of the good structure of the chronically licking, especially if sudden onset can tail or other injury. Also, toe breaks, ingrown dew claws, and other injuries can be a cause of licking. Exactly. Sometimes the nails will curl so bad that they will into the pad. A few months ago, I had one. Let me see if I can find the picture. That the dew claw did that. And when that happened and pulled it out, he immediately started. It was infected, which any is a wound, even as tiny is a source of infection. So let me see if I can find. It's been a while, so it's going to take me a second to find it. Let's see. That's Ellie Mae. Izzy. Corona. Dodger. Teddy. I don't see it. I may have deleted it after I sent it to her. But the nail literally curled all the way around the dew claw. Very, very much so. And around here, Great Pyrenees are actually common because of all the sheep herders that we have. And yeah, so that is definitely an issue. But this one that I'm talking about, he has a Schnauzer mix, and his skirt had gotten a bit long, and they didn't know how long the nail was. And it had curled back around and embedded in the dew claw on the front. So the second I clipped it, came out. Yeah, it's not on this phone. Let me see if it's on my other phone. It immediately started dripping blood all over the place. Exactly. All right. Okay, I can find it real quick. Even though I'm the grooming side, there's still, things like it I deal with on a regular basis, and I try to educate everybody about it so that they can make sure they're keeping their dogs healthy. It's one of the reasons this stuff that I also offer nail clipping free for my community. It's a walk-in service. You never, as long as me or my family are running this business. I must have deleted it. I don't have it anymore. Nail clipping will always be free in my shop. Because that encourages to bring their dogs in and have their nails done, especially those on a fixed income or those who may not have income. it it's about keeping them, because the rest, it's just like us. When our feet are hurting, our entire, because everything is thrown out of whack. And so staying on top of the foot care, not just about the excess hair, but also about the nails, is really healthy for the dog, because it's keeping their structure, their base, healthy. So less injuries, more activity. So weight is going to be, much healthier, things like that. So yes, we are. Yes, we are. And around here, the vets have gotten to where if I send somebody in because there's something that I want checked out, or I'm not comfortable with, or a fatty tumor has grown significantly in a rather short period of time, or a skin tag or a wart or a mole doesn't look right. Anytime I personally send a client in, oh, that's okay, Maya, we're talking dogs. But I have sent a client in, um, the vets around here take it seriously, look at whatever the issue is that I've sent them in for. If it's signs of chronic ear issues, they're going to do a little bit more investigation to figure out what it is. With this nail issue, this embedded nail, because I had already clipped the nail, I had already cleaned the wound. I'd already clipped the hair back and basic prepped everything for the vet. They took him in right then and there as soon as she called and told him what was going on, because they didn't have to do all that. I'd already done it. So they were able to get him in and get him started on that day for the infection. So groomers can absolutely be the first line of defense. As owners, we see our dogs and the average person, a little lump unnoticed, a little, their leg is turned out a little bit the wrong way on this dog. It wasn't like that last time. As groomers, because we don't see your dog every day, we tend to notice those things a little bit sooner. So we can catch big things. Or, as a dog is aging, certain breeds are susceptible to certain issues. So as groomers, because we see regularly but not daily, we can monitor for those issues. Like labs and shepherds are notorious for hip issues as they age. You see that dog every day, you're less likely to notice those minute little changes as they age, when those issues might. Whereas because we see them, regularly but not every day, we pick up on them faster. So we can get in a lot of times for preventative care as well. So any other questions? Or comments. I'll take comments too. Or comments. I'll take comments. I just keep the live up to make sure it doesn't drop on me. Exactly. I have a lab, a little bit older. When he was younger, he had to have surgery on one of his back legs. breaking. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Marco is the sweetest yellow lab. But he's thick. It's not that he's overweight. He's just a thick dark lab. And since he had that initial injury and surgery to his leg, his owner and I have been talking about trying to get him on a diet, slim him down a bit. But because he's a naturally thick dog, him on a low-calorie senior feed that hasn't seemed to help him lose any weight. So we've been talking about potentially getting him in for if there's something else that they can do, making sure that his blood work is high and he hasn't developed anything else like diabetes or anything like that. Because it's kind of like us. If you're struggling, you are truly to a diet for your dog and they're still not losing weight, there might be something going on. I have another little Sheltie that I groom, Ruby, and she a while back developed. That was the other thing, diabetes or thyroid. So his mom and I talked about that last time, and she's had him on the low-calorie weight formula food, and it hasn't helped. So we talked and I explained, the possibilities that there's could be. I'm not a vet. I can't diagnose, but these are other options that sometimes this is kind of the same thing that happens. They're on a being fed the recommended amount. They're, and his mom is doing everything right and he still will not lose weight. Go get a physical. Get a physical. Yeah, that was the amount, they got the food from the vet. They did everything the vet wanted to do, and he is still wait because with this in this leg, even though he's naturally a thick dog for a lab, if we can get a few off of him, he's going to move a lot better with this bad leg. And that's what they were trying to do. And he's just not losing weight. So yeah, that's really good because most people don't notice the small changes until they become big. But this Sheltie Ruby, I had noticed a small lump, and her mom monitored it growing quickly, so they got her in. It was determined and found to be cancer, but it was quite large. It ended up being about this big of a tumor when they finally did the surgery. And at first they wanted to just monitor. Yep, that's exactly what I told her. Not with that much detail, but that's exactly what I told her. And she's going to look into getting that taken care of and make sure it's not diabetes, thyroid, or any other hormones that might be out of whack and everything. So she's going to do a full blood panel and physical. So they're due this month, so that's going to be perfect. So, but yeah, we found the lump. We monitored when she noticed, told her it was growing quite quickly. She did get her in. They found out that it was just a fatty tumor, but it continued to grow. and change. So they went in and they ended up going ahead and doing the surgery to remove the tumor. And oh, good. You'll have to let me know how that comes back. But sadly, Ruby's cancer. So they did the surgery, and she had a really rough go after the surgery. And now it's come back. And we can watch for changes. It's not as fast growing as the first time around was, and that's good. So between me and her mom, we're monitoring any signs of change, rapid change, or anything that may be significant to where we'll get her in. She'll have to get her in and get her looked at. So, it's little things that have the potential to turn into big things. Very important. If you're ooh, well, that's really good. Really good. Yeah, definitely. Results back on that. But another example of a groomer, really helping out the dog. I have this poodle mix that I groom, but he is so groom traumatized that to groom him, because he'd rather rip my face off than to be groomed, and that's okay. When I first started working with him, he had rear dew claws. But from the get-go, there was something not right. I didn't like the way they moved. I didn't like the way they felt. I didn't like the way he acted about them. It's just something. Oh, I remember. Yeah, you mentioned the cyst. I didn't know it had gotten that far. Yes, definitely. Keep me informed. I worked with him a little bit just to try to figure out what was going on, what the issues were, where the fear, clear it was fear that he was going through, fear and stress. And after a couple of times of grooming him, I figured it out. It was his dew claws. Creating such a problem because the nail was such a tight curl that you couldn't, without one, either quicking him and making him bleed, which is very painful, or two, pinching the pad. There was no way, because of the way the dew claws were made and were formed. But there was more to it. There was not right about these dew claws. The pads, everything, there's just not something right. So after working with him a little bit, I was able to narrow down that there's actually been a lot of trauma to him about being groomed and handled, and it stemmed from these dew claws on the back. Once we figured that out, and I was able to kind of zero in on what was going on, his mom called into one vet and told them. He was only about 8 years old at the time. He's a little bit older now. I'm working with him for quite some time now. And for some reason, without looking at his medical records or bringing him in for a physical, this vet decided that he was too old to remove the dew claws, or at least to investigate what was going on with them. But he's in perfect health. He stays caught up on his shots. Otherwise he was a great dog and very healthy. So even at 8 years old, yes, it's a little bit older to be removing dew claws. But if there's a legitimate reason, there's no reason why he shouldn't at least give an opportunity to remove these dew claws. Thank goodness that vet is no longer here, because she went to another vet and got a second opinion. That vet, knowing that he's one of my clients, took her seriously, and they figured out that there really wasn't something right. Hey, Nicole, about these, and they ended up going ahead and doing the surgery to remove these dew. Things came up during the removal. One of them was full of like a pus-like substance. Weirdest thing they'd ever seen. Pathology came back. Everything was benign. Nothing was wrong. But it was like a pus-like substance, fluid. It wasn't, there was no blood vessels. There was no bone connecting on that side. On the other side, however, he had one tiny, it was very odd. But on the other dew claw, he had one tiny bone. Now these are floppy on the back. So there wasn't any structure connecting, but there was a miniature bone that was in that dew claw. And what had happened is that bone, because it was free floating, it was not, there was no connective of this bone. It had actually, with every time that jiggled, I manipulated it to try to clip his nails, anybody to groom him, clip his nails, whatnot, handle him in any way where that claw moved. What was happening was, so say this is the muscle, that little piece of bone worked its way back and forth through the muscle fibers and was actually creating rub marks in his leg bone. Yeah. Weirdest thing the vet's ever seen. She did a full physical. She did a full blood panel to make sure he put under. He underwent surgery. You're fine. We're just talking dogs. Everything came back perfect. He was in perfect health. So he was able to be put under, even though he was a bit older, and have those dew claws removed safely. And while he is still, or he would rather still rip my face off than to be groomed, he's much better. And he's not in constant pain. So as groomers, that's what we should be doing for our clients. That's not the case for all groomers, but that is how I operate and how I prefer anybody that I may work with to operate, is about the dogs. So I'm sorry you guys didn't get. So Maya Sin was more on the medical side of things. She was a veterinarian assistant for a long time, where I'm on the grooming side of things. I've been on a half, Nicole. Yeah, it's not going to be a late night stream. We probably won't do a late night stream tonight, just this one. Am I? So, yes. Yeah, she works with German Shepherds too. But yeah, I am probably going to try to lay down early tonight. No 2 o'clock in the morning stream for me tonight. Yeah, and I'm not far behind you. I'm a little over 20 years myself. So, and then I'm currently enrolled in several courses through the British College of Canine Studies, um, for holistic options for dog care and canine care. I need to get I've been so anybody else have any more comments? Because we can definitely talk dogs tonight. It's a dog stream. Oh, you took a nap this afternoon? Dadgummit. Yes, Maya, she is. And she's not invisible tonight. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you caught it early. I mean, the outcome regardless is heartbreaking, but I'm glad you caught it early and suffer. Because that's not a good one at all. Um I'm sorry. You had to change browsers? So it was your browser that was causing. So what browser are you using? What are you using now? So that if I run across anybody else that has that issue, I can let them know. Because I have come across a couple people in the past that have said the same thing. They didn't have as problems quite as extensively as you do. Okay. Okay. See, and I've never had a problem with being invisible under Chrome. Yeah, apparently not. Apparently not, because I've never had a problem personally with uh, being invisible under Chrome, and that's usually what I use on my computer. And then of course I have the app um, for my phone. I don't even use Chrome or anything on my phone. I use the app. What dogs do you, Cole? Yeah. Oh, Maya. I bet that was heartbreaking. Uh, yeah, I was really my heart just shattered when that happened with Bam. That that's rough. Oh, I was just wondering if anybody had any questions. Maybe we will end the dog stream. My heart just shattered for her. Yes, all ears. That's got to be a lot of energy. A lot of energy. concerns, ifs, how-tos. I didn't realize it's only 10 o'clock. It's still way early. Because if we don't have anything else, what I might do is go ahead and end this live. And we might go ahead and restart a diamond painting live. I can't tell you one way or the other, but let me give you a little bit of maybe a bit or two to think about. Is your dog slowing down? If he is, a puppy could be a good idea to keep him energized, keep him moving, keep it, good exercise for him. But at the same token, being an older man, he may not tolerate the puppy very well. So there's a pro versus con on that one. If I would actually take him with me to see how he tolerates puppies. Before know whether getting a puppy is a good idea for him or not. How he handles being around puppies is going to tell you whether he's even interested. With him being an older guy, that's a better option. If you know somebody who's got a litter that, are maybe getting close to being weaned, they're a little bit older, not itty bitty babies, but you could take him and just see how he interacts with. Exactly. Just see how he tolerates. And his attitude and how he reacts is going to tell you everything you need to know. Um, and that's possible, Nicole. Very possible. Now, mine got a little Shih Tzu, so they age a little bit slower than big dogs. I don't know what kind of dogs you did. I may have missed it, but I don't know if you had. If they're larger, they will age faster than small dogs. So, dog, that would make sense. A medium-sized dog, that would make sense. That the other dogs are just a little too rough for him. Bless his heart. Sadly, I've tried. I've bought her different types of toys. We've tried to play ball with her, tug rope. We've tried it all. And Mona does not play like that. Her idea of a good time is a couple laps in the backyard and then coming in and splooting on the floor. That is her idea of a good time. She does have two little stuffed animals that she snuggles with, and that's it. That's it. So I sometimes I wish she did know how to play, just enjoy being a dog. But I don't think she's ever really had or anything like that. So she has no idea. Then it might be a good idea, Maya. Keeping an older dog moving is the best thing you can do. That's right. You told me before in a different stream. I remember now. Yeah, the lab. The young ones might definitely be a little too rough. It's his bedtime. I'll tell you right now, everybody in my house is already out cold. I'm the last one standing, which is not unusual. Not unusual at all. Yeah, I just have the two. I have who is a staffy, and then I have George, who's a miniature schnauzer. And technically, where I live within city limits, you're only allowed to have 2 dogs. Now, Mona, because she's a service dog, but so it's not technically a pet. She is medical equipment, but we travel just enough that I don't want to try to with 3 dogs and or have to board 2 of them and just bring Mona. So we're good with the 2 for now. Yeah. Yeah. And with 3, it's going to be next to impossible. Yeah. That's why I don't wear nice clothes, especially to work, because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. I'm covered in dog hair 90% of the time. So I have my t-shirts with sleeves cut off and capris. There's no point in me having nice clothes at all. All right. I think if there's no, I'm going to go ahead and end this live and I'll restart over at the diamond painting desk. That way I can the right playlists. So I will probably just run straight through YouTube on that. Yeah, that sounds like, and we'll diamond paint for a little bit tonight, but not till 2:00. Yeah. Yeah. No. I was just hot. It was a hot day today. Came home, relaxed for a little bit, and then we worked in the kitchen. Me and the kids worked in the kitchen together, and we made supper, and it's been a pretty chill night. Yes, we do. We absolutely do. Yeah, email me. We'll set something up for sure. You and I could absolutely talk dogs all day. Absolutely. We really should get together and do something. So email me. We'll figure something out for sure. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this one. I'm going to move over to the diamond painting desk and get restarted through YouTube instead of one of those that I've been using. So we shall return in just a few minutes. And for everybody else who doesn't follow for the diamond painting, you guys have